They're classy too, man. I can wear this on a date.
People who are most successful are the ones who don't just give up.
Hey, how good are these to-go boxes?
Our to-go boxes, they're not good. They're f***ing amazing. How did we get started here at Albemarle Paper? Well, late 2008, my cousin John and I started this paper company, and we got all sorts of different products.
Hey, Nick, come on, man. Let's get to work.
You got cleaning products, too? You got a party this weekend? We got your back. Anything you need here at APS. Plates, napkins, silverware, table covers. We got everything covered, right, boys? What other items do we carry? Paper towels? I got it. Toilet paper? I got it. Gloves? We got you. Pizza boxes? You're probably wondering, where are we? Where's Albemarle Paper? Don't you worry about that. We got you. I'll bring the product to your front door. See you guys.
Woo! Welcome to another episode of the MLS Corner, the best corner in all of MLS. What a jam-packed show we've got today. You know, hopefully most of us are over that brutal beatdown in the second half by LAFC. And to talk about it and to preview New York City FC, we've got my man Lee from CLTFC Fan TV. Lee, my man, how are you today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm great, my man. And I also got my man Brian. Brian, how are you today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. And actually, so this will be the third game I've missed watching live tomorrow at NYCFC. In the last two games I didn't watch live. Was the last streak we had. We won against Houston, our only road game, and at home against Nashville. So when we win tomorrow, don't forget to thank your boy.
Well, then we can blame you for the rest of the losses.
Yeah, I'll take that, Heat. That's cool.
Nice. Yeah, man. Well, hopefully that streak continues. And to talk also about NYCFC, I brought a special guest in, my boy Ronnie. Ronnie, who was here actually for the Charlotte FC's inaugural game. And so he is one of the co-hosts of Soccer Subs podcast. Last time we had Voss here, other Soccer Sub podcast person. We won that game as well. So hopefully you bring us that luck too, Ronnie. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you so much for letting me come on, man. And yeah, really excited to talk NYC, a little bit of Charlotte. And yeah, man, I'm coming on from representing Soccer Subs podcast. I know you guys had Voss, but a good game coming up.
Nice, man. And just maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, what your podcast does. I've known you guys have interviewed guys like Sean, the CFO at Charlotte FC. You've also interviewed Koa Santos as well. So maybe give us a little bit of background.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So me and my guys, Christian, Voss, and Eric, and Hugh, we started the podcast about 2 years ago during the pandemic, just out of the passion of the game. And little by little, we just started talking to players and coaches. And at the end of the day, we're trying to just cover NYCFC, trying to cover the New York Red Bulls. And we're trying to talk a little bit of all the big games throughout the league. And we usually have on guests from teams all over, usually like, players from Dallas, Houston, any player that's really willing to come on. But yeah, man, we've been loving it. It's been a good 2-year run so far. And we would have never thought we'd be speaking to half these people we've been speaking to. So we're having a good time. And at the end of the day, we do have a World Cup coming up in our backyard in 4 years. So by then, hopefully the game will be bigger.
Nice. Awesome. And listen, you guys think I get a lot of pictures with players? This man, Ronnie, has pictures with players, celebrities. Bro, you take a picture with everybody and anybody who is famous, my guy. How many selfies do you think you have with famous people? Like, be honest.
Dude, I have a good amount.
It's got to be like 50 at least.
I have a good amount. It's just some friends that, living in the city, living in Manhattan, a lot of artists, a lot of players, come to Times Square, come to the city on vacation. So usually I have friends that let me know, hey man, come over.
Is there a Target there?
There is a Target in Times Square now. Yeah, there is.
Get it out. That was simple.
Just go to Target, like Jorge says, and you'll find them.
Yeah.
100%, bro. He's got I see players with Chicharito. Then I see a picture with Rosalia. I'm like, bro, like you just know everybody, my man. So I just thought that was funny. Nice, awesome. Well, let's get into it a little bit. Charlotte FC got destroyed this weekend, 5-0 in LA. I mean, first half we kind of held our own. I think we played well. We stayed tight, and then slowly as the game transitioned, you saw LA get a little bit more comfortable. And we finished that first half at 0-0, which I thought was great for us. And then second half, I mean, we got completely annihilated. I mean, one of the things that stands out most to me recently is how easily teams break through our lines, how much time and space these players have. And I mean, we've conceded 12 goals in the last 3 games. Brian, talk to me about this defeat, man.
Yeah, I think the big difference between the first half and the second half, I mean, is mental mistakes, like really massive mistakes. Because after rewatching the game and going into it thinking like that we played pretty well in the first half, we defended really compactly and well, but like we were still on the back foot by the end of that first half a lot. Like maybe the first 5-10 minutes we really had to press on and we were really trying to get some shots in and stuff. But after that, most of the rest of the first half, Kalina had to make 2 big saves. Jan, shout out to Jan's first start. He really played well. He made a big block, but we could have been 1 or 2-0 down without some really good defensive play and stops. And then in the second half, it seemed like the legs got tired. LA outlasted us, and then we just started making mistakes. And it was, every goal there was some sort of defensive lapse, especially the first 3, and then after that, it's just you're down 3-0 at the bank. And that crowd is wild, right? They're a wild crowd, same as Charlotte, and it's just, it can't feel good being in that kind of environment.
100%. And you know what? To me, it's one thing to get outplayed by a better team.
Yeah.
But it felt like, especially in that second half, like this team just gave up. Like they were out of gas. Lee, did you get that same feeling, or do you think it was just that LA was just a better team?
First half was 0-0, and the game was 5-0.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all there needs to be said, right? No, to feed off what Brian said, Jan had a good game, I thought. Definitely defensively, we're lacking something. Kalina, I know he's a fan favorite, man, but there was some – he cost us 1 or 2 goals for sure. I think it was a corner. He came all the way out. We had 3 defenders there. They could have just headed it clear, and he just screwed it up, man. And I don't know, man. It's I don't think Bender's tracking back enough to play in midfield, especially if we're going to count on him for the whole game. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just, there's just gaping holes in this team.
Yeah. And Bender's touches were not sharp either. There was a couple times when he actually put himself in really good space in the attacking third. And you could just that his processing speed is just starting to really eat at me in terms of just watching him. Man, he got himself in good space. He gets the ball and then just easy.
Before the game even started, right? We said it last week. I just didn't want us to come out there and get embarrassed. And that second half was pretty close to it.
Yeah, it was embarrassing that second half. Ron, did you get a chance to catch the game or any of the highlights of the game?
I did, man. I watched the highlights of it, but let me just start by saying, man, that on our podcast, whenever we interview players, we tend to ask them, what's been one of the most difficult stadiums to play at, and a lot of them do say the Bank of California Stadium, just because of how loud the 3252 is, and just how the energy is, and how it just feels that the fans are right on top of you. So just being on the road at the Bank of California Stadium, I'm sure is one thing. And then I think I could just probably say, just the work that Steve Cherundolo is doing this season with LAFC, man. This team's got weapons, man. Vela's killing it as usual, but now they got Chicho Arango, and Brian Rodriguez, in the attack, and their midfield is solid too. So um, I give you guys props though. I think you guys held them down in that first half, and kind of like to echo what Brian said. It might have just been mental. Maybe the pressure got too much, but LAFC is such a good team, man, and I consider them favorites to probably come out of the West this season.
Yeah, I mean, but they also didn't have Bell and co. I mean, it could have been nasty, man.
Yeah, I mean, like what was it like? Load management was on the reason why he wasn't there. Like,
they were
in my opinion, they thought so little of us. They're like, we don't need him against these guys.
Right.
It was true, they didn't.
Well, think about their subs. So their subs in the 60th minute was Opoku and Latif Blessing, who would both start at Charlotte
100%.
for sure. They would both be starters point blank, and they brought them on as the subs that weren't even their regular subs because their other subs were this load management. And so I think that that's why for me this loss was way easier for me to get over, just in terms of I was expecting it to be extremely difficult, even when it was 0-0. So LAFC's second half goal differential is now it's plus 30, but it was plus 25 before they played us, right? So they're an experienced team that comes out in the second half and just has a feel for you and then just knocks you out and finishes you off, right? I mean, that's what they have been able to show for most of the season, because in the first half they actually lose. Their goal differential is -1, but then the second half they just know how to turn it on and win the game from there. And so I think that also plays a big role, and that goes back to their depth too, right? I mean, they're putting out starters, and we barely have a starting lineup, right? And especially at this point, our midfield is running on empty for sure.
And then I want to pose this question to everybody in the chat and you guys as well. One of the things I praised Lattanzio specifically at the beginning when he first took over was how defensively compact this team was. It seemed to get better under him. But if you look at the last 3 away games, especially, in one half we conceded 3 against Miami. In another half we conceded 4 against Toronto. And then in this second half against LAFC, we conceded 5 goals. What's going on with this team? Is it the tactics? Is it the team is inexperienced? Is it still, that we just still haven't found the identity within these players? Are they giving up? What's going on that's causing this team to lose, but not just lose in a very bad way?
I mean, he's been dicking around with that back line the whole, right? I mean, he put Walks as a right back one time. He's not sure who the left back is. Is it Moore or is it Fuchs? It's like we were fine when Fuchs is playing center back with Corujo, right? And obviously Corujo got hurt, so that was a big issue for us, right? I mean, to me, he's been one of, if not the best players this season. He goes out. I think Moore is stepping it up as a left back, and I just don't understand why we keep messing around with something that worked. Focus. If you're going to play around with something, play around in the midfield, because that hasn't been working all season for us.
100%. But even now, it's really hard to play around with the midfield when you really just you've got very limited options.
You went back to Miami and Toronto, so that's why I kind of
100%. Fair enough.
But even in those games, I would say it was a lot of it was our midfield as well. I think just in terms of just the lack of experience and the lack of energy that I think Bronico's getting really tired. I think his legs are getting burnt just because he's having to do all the minutes at the position that's running the most. Just the complete lack of experience. I think the Chicago Fire game is actually a really good example of just where you see not being able to pretty basic things happen that give up those goals in terms of not clearing your lines. Jalen Lindsay didn't clear the lines with the header when they gave up the second goal, and Quinn McNeil also did the same thing. And I think those kind of mental lapses and just not being able to keep your composure in those situations is a big part of just lack of experience. And that's in the back line too, right? That's Lindsay at right back. That's also McNeil, Bender. I think are the big examples because they're playing right in the middle of the park.
Right. And I think though, in my terms, that's a mistake by Lattanzio. When we've seen this season, you can't overplay guys like Quinn and Ben, especially. It's their very first season in this league. Give Jordi Alcivar a start. I know he played. I I was not impressed at all by him, especially this last game. Or bring in Chris Hagart, right? We saw him for 10 minutes against, God, it's such a long time ago now. I think it was Montreal. And he looked good, right? Like, if you're so depleted in the midfield, stop playing the same guys, especially with the inexperience that these guys have, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think one other thing to point out, too, is not only are we playing poorly right now, we're also running into a lot of teams that are really hot, right? LAFC might not lose a game the rest of the season. They're on like a 6-game winning streak, and they've lost one. They're 10-1-1 out of the last 12. So they're on absolute fire, and they could easily go without a loss the rest of the year, I think, which is what their lineup. Toronto just had signed 2 DPs. I mean, Miami are a good home team. They're actually have the same amount of home points as we do. And so we're running into teams that are starting to come in. Chicago Fire, even, they're getting into form. Shaqiri is now starting to play well. So we're meeting a lot of teams that have star players that are playing well. And so when we make those mistakes that maybe we could have gotten away with earlier on in the season are now getting punished for in really extreme ways. So I think that's another point that probably needs to be brought up as well.
I mean, try to have some sort of positivity. We're still only like 4 or 5 points out of playoffs, right? So, I mean, it's still there, but I just don't see it happening.
They got to go on a real streak, like an absurd streak.
Yeah, we need like 6 home games.
Well, even our last home game, man, we weren't able to pull it off, you know? We lost 3-2 against Chicago Fire, you know? So, Ronnie, anything that you want to add maybe that you've seen from Charlotte? I know from your perspective, there's been a lot of changes. You know, we got rid of Miguel Angel Ramirez, our first coach. Now we have an interim coach. Recently, we've got rid of 3 midfield players. You know, we've only been able to add 1, which is in that attacking role, which we desperately need. Anything that you've seen from this Charlotte team so far?
Yeah, man. I think I'll definitely echo what we've been talking about on our podcast. You know, Charlotte, I thought started the season off pretty well, but then I think just to echo what you guys are saying, you know, a lot of teams got pretty hot throughout the season. I mean, of course, the changes like, you know, sacking Miguel Angel Ramirez is probably a huge factor, and, you know, change in management and the head coach. But yeah, man, I mean, just to kind of talk some other teams like, you know, Columbus Crew, you know, is getting hot as well. Toronto bringing in Bernardeschi and Insigne, you know, they're getting hot. I mean, Philly still on top. It's just like we could go down the list of all the teams, and almost all these teams made some kind of adjustments, made some changes, some additions, maybe some they've removed some players, but they've all made some moves. So I think it's just, you know, as we get towards the end of the season, you kind of try to see which teams get hot at the right time. But yeah, man, I think to add to Charlotte too, being a first-year team, and, you know, these players haven't had a full year playing with each other, so I think it's a little mixture of everything, to be honest. But yeah, man, we were rooting for you guys, and we still are. So I mean, I got your jersey, so I'm hoping the best for Charlotte.
Well, we seem to be going backwards, though, right? You know, the thing was, we wanted to see everybody. We were like, as long as we see this team progressing, we'll be okay with it. But we've kind of done like a Benjamin Button sort of thing, or whatever the hell that movie was, right? Where we started off decent, and now we've kind of rolled it back to being mediocre at best.
100%, because you are saying these teams have gotten hot, but also, I mean,
we got a plan.
New York Red Bull has came here hot, you know, and we were able to win that game. You know, we were able to dominate a team like Houston, who added pieces to themselves as well. You know, so I was just about to bring up that point, what Lee was saying. You know, under Latanzio, especially the first 4 or 5 games, we remained competitive even though we were losing. And that to me was okay, you know, to a degree, right? Because you can't, if you know that the team has limitations, but if you're staying competitive, that means that something is there, right? Now, you know, after we give up 1 or 2 goals, I feel no type of confidence in this team, right? Especially how easily I've seen some teams break through our lines.
Shit, even when we score early, we don't feel confident.
Yeah. So, what has changed, Brian? What are you seeing? What are you thinking has changed mostly about this team?
So I think one other piece to it is that after Mar getting sacked, I'm really glad Ronnie brought that up because I think we kind of switched gears, saw Latanzio come out hot, and we kind of like had a new coach's bump and a kind of a honeymoon phase period. And I think what also is happening that's kind of under the scenes that's now been addressed, right? Because all the players have left, but we kind of had a bit of a restructuring happen within the roster, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons our midfield is depleted is because Mar was fired and all the midfielders that he had wanted to be brought in are now gone. And so we kind of like, maybe as fans, we just thought we're moving on. And then Latanzio gets that 2-0 win against the Red Bulls. And we're like, okay, we've moved on and we've got like a better structure, but like we still ended up losing a decent amount of players and that were key, either like intended to be depth players or starters at, at the beginning of the season or, throughout the season when now we're seeing a lack of energy and just composure. So I think that also is the other one piece that sticks out besides just really poor performances.
Yeah. And this is where I would like, almost like, put some blame on the players as well, man. Like you can't like, it's either the coach is failing to motivate y'all to put on a decent face or you guys aren't doing it yourself. Because you know what? Someone brought up a really good point this week where I mentioned that and they said, well, the players are trying. They're just, there's just levels. There's a level in LAFC that Charlotte FC doesn't have. But even with that, man, we should at least be more presentable. That's my complaint. It's one thing to get outplayed by a team. It's another thing to feel like your team has just given up. Especially look at like some of the easy mistakes Kalina made as well, Yeah. And so that's where I kind of have a problem where it feels like the team is just giving up at points of this game, especially.
I was just gonna say no. It's like like Andre was on fire, and then we benched him. Like we totally like stopped his momentum. That stuff. All it takes is one player to have a spark, right? And it could just ignite the whole team. And for whatever reason, when some player gets on the roll, and then the next couple of weeks they're on the bench. I mean, I'm not getting paid to figure it out, but definitely want to play the person that's informed.
Right. And I'll buy the not playing Shinyashiki this particular. If we're down 3-0, I'll only buy that if he starts against New York City FC. If you put him from the get-go against New York City FC, okay, like, you know what? Why bring a player on minute 75 when you're losing 3-0? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make
like some of these comments are saying, I just don't understand why Andre all of a sudden stopped starting. I mean, he was steamrolling it.
He is steamrolling it.
He was. He's not now.
Yeah, we'll definitely see, I think we've discussed this multiple times too, just like where in what position should Andre start. But you know what? He merits more of a start right now than Kamil Jazviak.
100%.
I mean, Derek Jones has more goals than Kamil Jazviak. That's a problem, man.
He got the same amount of goals as Jazviak.
Who?
You and I. You've actually got one more, man, from the supporters group shield. That go ahead, Luca. Go ahead and mention the hooligans.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's players. I mean, in my opinion, Jazviak has been given enough time now to make an impact in this team. All right, he's not working. All right, bench him, start somebody else, and maybe bring him on. Right, if he's the DP that you want to trust, he has definitely. Every game I've seen him play, I've lost more and more confidence in him, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely have as well. I think the Shinichi, obviously, I mean, there's been all kinds of different speculation and rumors going around in regards to him, but I think a big part is just also the last time he started was Austin FC, and we had zero distribution into the box, right? And the wingers that game were Camille and Shinyashiki, and they made the switch to Reina and Gaines, and the distribution just got better. It just did, right? And so you can't. I mean, and I think Latanzio said in the presser too after the game, he's like, we needed Yordi on the left. Like I wanted to go with Yordi on the left, and I think that's probably still the right move. Yeah, and I think it's just harder to find the position to put Shinyashiki in a position because you're not starting him over Carroll.
Right. Carroll's come leaps and bounds too. I mean, like he's you can see his play is definitely picked up.
Yeah.
He's just
I
not
think
getting.
next year he's going to be really good.
Yeah,
And I think it's just hard to put. And then if you put him on the right, I mean, his distribution is just. I mean, that's not what Shinyashiki's there for. You want him on the right foot taking shots, and it's just harder to do that from the right side. And I think that's just kind of the situation we're running into. Is like we have like 3 left wingers, right? We get Camille is a left winger, Yordi's a left winger, and Shinyashiki is a center forward who also would prefer to be on the left. And so I think we're running into a situation where like Gaines is your only right winger, and maybe Vargas. I mean, we just haven't seen enough of Vargas, but like I don't feel like we have enough guys who can play the right side well enough. And I think that's kind of one of the big issues we're running into. And then it leaves a player out, right, in that kind of situation, which kind of sucks. So I think if maybe whether it's Shinyashiki playing or not, it's just like maybe they thought they had more flexibility than invested in more flexibility than they originally did, and we're sort of paying the price for that investment.
I think so too. I think the most difficult thing to argue against Shinyashiki is, I mean, he puts up results, man. He puts up goals.
He was scoring, man. He was doing what he was hired to do.
Exactly. But like what I agree with what Brian's saying, like ideally in our starting 11, right? I mean, I wouldn't take him over Reyna. You know, Reyna's just a better winger, in my opinion.
I mean, you saw LA. LA was double teaming Reyna. They were like, hell no. He got that one shot off, and they were like,
yeah,
fuck that. He's not getting the ball. Anytime he double teamed, it was just, I mean, every time he got the ball, it was a double team in the corner. They're like, and they left Bender open. They were just like, screw it, dude. Just let him putts with the ball. And like that's what they were doing. And so,
and then lastly, before we move on to New York City FC, what were your thoughts on this lineup? Was it good that Latanzio, I mean, hindsight now is like it wasn't right for him to start a 4-3-3. In my opinion, he should have been a little bit more precautious and more defensive for this game.
Yeah, I mean, of course, at least definitely that second half, right? I mean, I don't know. It's the subs were wrong for me too. It was just a weird second half, man. It's like everything, like the whole team just fell apart.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
from
Molina.
Molina.
It's happening too often. It's either
No, I'm disagreeing with you there. I'm just saying. I just feel like the subs were wrong. You know, it was just weird. It was just a hard second half. It just none of it made sense, and I kept asking for it to make sense.
100%. I mean, I guess it's the woes of an inaugural season too.
We knew it was coming, right? I mean, the thing is, you know, as long as we don't get that wooden spoon, and we're only 5 points away from the playoffs, so there's still hope. Half full is the cup, I say, not half full, but half full.
yeah.
Nice, awesome. Well, let's move on a little bit. That way, we can get my man Ronnie involved as well, man.
What's up, Ronnie?
We're facing the current MLS Cup champs, you know. And in my opinion, a little bit depleted NYCFC. I mean, you guys lost 2 key pieces. You lost, in my opinion, the best player in MLS right now, in Tati, and you lost your coach who went to Belgium, right?
Yeah, that's right. He left over to Belgium Standard Liège, I believe. Yeah,
something like that. And talk to us about this New York City FC. Talk to me about the season they've had so far. I mean, they're still in there. They're either 3rd or 4th in the East. I mean, they're a competitive team, current MLS champs. Talk to me about their season so far, Ronnie.
yeah, man, for sure. Like I know we were talking a little bit right before we hit record, but yeah, man, it's been a crazy season for us so far. You know, we all expected Tati Castellanos to kind of leave the club. There's been a lot of rumors for months that he was going to leave. It was just a matter of where. He was being rumored linked to South American clubs, to Brazilian clubs, La Liga, Italy. But yeah, we all had a feeling Tati was leaving. So I'm glad he went over to La Liga, playing against some good teams out there too. But one thing I don't think any of us were expecting was to lose our head coach, Ronnie Dyla. So that was a big hit for us. But yeah, man, we're still in 3rd place. We've been talking a little bit about on our podcast, with NYCFC. I think it's next man up mentality. Right now, a lot of things to watch is who's going to step up, who's going to replace those goals that Tati Castellanos would normally give us. I think right now it's a collaborative team effort to just kind of find ways to win. Currently, we've had three past road games, which have been a bit of a tough home road stretch. We just lost last weekend against Inter Miami, which was a tough result because we were in the game all the way to like the 80 something minute. Alejandro Pozuelo, almost with in the 84th minute, I believe, to win the game. The week before that, we were on the road against Columbus, and same thing, man. We were tied 2-2. And a goal by Zalata Young, I believe in the 75th minute. So we lost the same exact way. And then the week before that was Montreal, which is a tough team to play against. I don't think Coach Wilfred Nancy is getting a lot of talk for the good things he's doing out in Montreal right now. I think Montreal's a team that may not be getting a lot of talk, but yeah, man, we went out to Montreal and we got a draw there. But yeah, man, I mean, overall, Nick Cushing, who was the interim head coach at the moment, he's been in charge for 13 games. And, in those 13 games, we've had 5 wins, 4 draws, 4 losses. So, it comes with the territory of losing your main head coach. But, within the City Football Group comes Nick Cushing, who's been a head coach for the Man City women's team. And he's got easily over 10 years of experience, coaching at a high level. So we're in a pretty good place right now. I'm really looking forward to this game tomorrow against you guys because both teams are looking for 3 points. It's going to be a game where, it's going to be a grind, I think. I think 3 points for us would mean a lot because we just came out of a tough road stretch, and I'm sure 3 points means a lot for you guys to bounce back from LAFC.
3 points for Charlotte FC
on the road.
Yeah, would be like you laying on that emergency table about to die, and somebody just coming in and just bringing us back to life, my guy. And honestly, man, you know what? Like even the most positive people we know, like hoping we win. Realistically, it'll be tough. You know what I'm saying? And so I know you guys are playing at Red Bull Arena tomorrow too, right? Why is that?
Yeah, that's correct. I believe this game was supposed to be played at Yankee Stadium originally, but the Yankees are back in town and everything. So I believe this game got moved to Red Bull Arena. Not my preferred home game or, home base.
Oh, we're playing the Red Bulls tomorrow?
We're playing at Red Bull Arena, man. Yeah, so Vass will be happy about that. But yeah, man, it's still our home stadium. We've been kind of getting kicked around between Yankee Stadium, Citi Field where the Mets play, and Red Bull. There's been some rumors that next season we may not play at Red Bull at all, which I'll happily welcome because I don't know how you guys would feel playing at your rival's stadium, for a home game. It's been a big topic for like a lot of our supporters. We've been hearing a lot about some of the supporters canceling or threatening to cancel their season tickets if things don't change. There's been some rumors on our end about hopefully getting a stadium approved by the end of the year. But just because it gets approved doesn't mean we'll still have to wait a few years to get a actual home stadium. But yeah, man, home advantage right now hasn't been the greatest. I don't think we play at Yankee Stadium until September when we play Atlas. So that's where I'll leave it. But yeah,
we're playing at
Red Bull.
Champions banner so small so you can carry it around with you to each stadium you play in.
Golly, man.
I wanted to ask you about that. Tell us your thoughts on that banner, bro, because it definitely went viral. But just how huge it was.
I want to say no comment, but man, all I can say is I was embarrassed, man. We could do so much better, man. And
it's just easy to pack up and roll it up and take it.
It just made me crack up how they had like a grand unveiling. They had a little curtain in front of it. Like, all right, and we're like, really, like, dude, we became a meme. But hey,
100% you did. And I mean, like you said, I feel like it's very unfair. Especially for the NYCFC supporters, bro. Like, you don't really have a stadium, Yankee Stadium. Some NYCFC games that I've had to watch are so hard to watch, bro. Just because of, the cameras, the stadium. I'm like, bro, like, come on.
You MLS. Still see the mound right there in front of the TV, like, just bulging out. Like, it's.
Bro, I'm like, how are people supposed tell me? I'm telling a friend of mine, hey, watch MLS, and they see this. You know what I'm saying? They'll be like, what is this?
Better than Liverpool. Anyway.
Awesome. All right, so I want to ask my Charlotte boys this. What changes can Charlotte FC really make going into this game? You know, Definitely, in my opinion, do we stick with a 4-3-3? Do we go a little bit more conservative? Maybe play a back five. The one good thing that we did see this weekend was Jan. For the most part, he played well, even though Brian said he shouldn't start. I'm just kidding.
I did. No, I own it. I own it. I own it. I
said last week, I was like, Jan should be knocking on Latangio's door. Give me a start. Let me show you what I can do. And you know what? He proved himself to, be in contention now to be a center back for this team. Although we got destroyed 5-0, he was one of the few shining lights of this weekend. So what does Charlotte do? Does it play more conservatively? Do we stick with a 4-3-3? Do we keep the same midfield? What happens in this game?
I don't think we're gonna see a ton of changes. There's not that many changes that we can really make, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have that many options to work with. Is one point, and then a second. I think at this point it's a combination. Yeah. We have an outside chance to try to push for the playoffs, but I think more than anything, we got to keep pushing for, we talked about earlier, seeing progress, seeing some development, seeing some of these players get minutes, getting some information on them. So I'd rather get some of those guys playing. Jan, I hope he just starts the rest of the way now. I hope, now that they've made that switch, I would like to see them stay in a 4-3-3 and get Jan, keep him in that center back role. And then, it seems is Aful, I'm assuming he might be out for close to the rest of the season too. He looked in rough shape. And so I'd imagine Lindsay's going to, so I think, Lindsay or I guess Lindsay will definitely get the start then this game because Burns still won't be available yet. And then, but I want to see throughout this game and the rest of the season, just seeing a lot of these younger guys. Vargas, I would really love to see Vargas get a bunch of minutes just so we see what we have, right? Because some of these players, it's not just this season anymore. It's what is happening as we build into the next year. Because year 2, I think, is really when expectations start to rise for whether or not the foundation of the club that you built is actually coming to fruition or not. And so I think getting a lot of those guys minutes is going to be really crucial, and keeping them in the same formation that we want our identity to be in, I think, is still important. And if that ends up being a loss in New York, I think, it's not going to feel worse than it was in LA. And I think I'd rather them get those experiences and get those minutes and push for it, But it's still Charlotte, I think in the end, long term, we want to see a specific style of play and have an identity as a club. And I think it starts with just being willing to go with that and take the licks when they come.
100%. Lee, what kind of changes are you expecting or you want to see tomorrow? Do you want to see a different midfield pairing? Would you like to, bench Yazviak and maybe start a guy like Vargas?
Yeah, the first thing we're going to notice is the time change difference, right? Now they're back in the East Coast, so that's going to help out a lot. What to Brian's point, really, we don't have much to play with, right? We got a depleted squad, injuries, players not ready to go, visa issues, or whatever we want to blame it on, but I don't know. Do we go to a 4-4-2 and put Andre and Carroll up top? I don't know, right? Lack of goals and the amount of goals going in is not a good combination, man. It's not the equation we need to be chasing. And I just don't know how we're going to fix that. We score early and we're still nervous, and go in at halftime and we're nervous now because second half, for some reason, we just fall apart. So, man, I'm glad I'm not getting paid to make that decision tomorrow.
Yeah. I definitely would like to see Vargas or Gaines on the right over Yazviak for sure. I know we're going to be seeing Yazviak a lot next season. Ideally, likely, because they're going to give him another shot because, he's still signed as a DP at this point. But, Gaines is on an expiring contract and Vargas is a U22. And you see what NYCFC and LAFC have done with, their U22s. I would argue that those are such huge components of how they've been able to build out such competitive rosters. And so I would say, Vargas, and I would like to just see Vargas or Gaines out on that onto that right wing over.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind to see Gaines actually out there. Just
Yeah.
I feel like we missed him. I feel like we missed him.
I feel like we've seen what we can get from Gaines. I mean, Yazviak obviously hasn't performed to the level we expected him to, but I still feel like we haven't really seen what Kerwin Vargas can do. So I definitely give him a shot. In my opinion, this game is more of a why not, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we've already got destroyed last game, you know.
Well, I mean, that's a valid point, too, about the why not. I mean, at some point, we're not going to probably make the playoffs, right? We're going to be to that point, and then it's like, do we really change it up and see who the hell's got some skin in the game? Or I don't know. I guess that's a topic for another session. But, yeah, I just hope it's not embarrassing again.
Yeah. Ronnie, how do you see maybe NYCFC setting up this game? You know, obviously, like you mentioned, they come from a tough road spell where they've only been able to pull 1 out of 9 points. And so what are you seeing from this team? And given that you're playing a team in Charlotte who have only been able to get 5 points away this whole season, only 1 win, and that came in Houston.
Yeah, man. I think I'll just start by saying that Nick Cushing's been kind of using the same formation or sticking to the same kind of core players that since Ronnie Dyla's left. So I would say expect a 4-2-3-1 formation. He's been kind of sticking to his main back line of Malty Adminson, Tavon Gray, the Peruvian Alex Callens, and Thiago Martins. In the midfield, Maxi Morales has been really key for us. Expect them in the midfield, and the other Morales, Alfredo Morales. And then up on top, I mean, it'll probably be the Brazilians up on top, Thales Magno, Thiago Andrade, Gabriel Pereira probably on the right. And in the middle, you got Santi Rodriguez, who's a pretty decent threat up on top, man. And as a striker, you'll probably either have Thales Magno or Eber, who's been, who came back from injury about three months ago. But yeah, man, like I mentioned, it's going to be a grind. I think this game is going to come down to just defensive mistakes. I think one thing I've noticed in the last few games from NYCFC is that we're in the game, especially on these road games, is that we've been in the game all the way to the 70th, 80th minute, and it's just about giving those defenders a little bit of space. If you give them a little bit of space against these teams that that are becoming hot, like we mentioned, they can punish you. So. I'm not downplaying Charlotte at all, so I wouldn't want to leave Karol Swiderski open or anything like that, or give him that extra inch or two. But yeah, man, I think it's going to come down to just detail and kind of attention to detail on defense.
100%. Great points that you make there as well. And I mean, obviously, it'd be very easy for NYCFC to just look at Charlotte's last result and be like 5-0. This is going to be a piece of cake. But the reality is it's always 11 on 11 and anything can happen, man. But in my opinion, and if NYCFC keep it professional, they should win this game. And speaking of that, and I want to ask you guys this and everybody in the comments section, which I have a feeling I know the answer. If Charlotte FC's playoff dream over without a win tomorrow, does this kind of end that, Charlotte are able to try and reach playoffs? Because in my opinion, without a win against Chicago, without getting anything away from Miami, that brought us into a very tough spot into these next 2 games, which was LAFC, which we know we've lost, and NYCFC. So if we don't pull a win tomorrow, can you kiss that goodbye?
So psychologically, I think from the fan base and everyone, yes, probably. But actually, so technically, mathematically, there's a ton of 6-point games coming up for a lot of teams, including us. Like, we have a lot of 6-point games going up against Columbus, Toronto, Cincinnati, right? So there's technically a lot of games where points can be switched. And then Cincinnati's playing like Atlanta, right? We're all playing each other to end the season. So it's going to be like a chaotic, it's just going to be chaos at that end of the table. And so technically a lot of things could happen, but it really comes down to whether or not, it's come down to this the whole season, right? Can Charlotte string 3 wins together? And I think that's really that's the difference, right? We would be at 7th or 6th if we had strung 1 3-game winning streak together at any point in the season, right? And like that's what we haven't been able to do. And if they do that still, even with a loss in New York, I mean they're close to back in it.
And I mean, I would agree with you, but I think out of everybody, we have either the toughest or one of the toughest schedules.
Sure.
I mean, we've got after New York, we have Orlando at home, which is not going to be easy. We play Toronto at home as well, who slapped us last time 4-0.
Yep.
Go away to Cincinnati. We play New York again. We play Chicago away. We still have to play Philadelphia away. And we play Columbus.
Philadelphia's at home.
Yeah, Philadelphia's at home. You're right. And we still have to play Columbus Crew. I mean, all teams that aren't no joke, all very tough, competitive teams that, like you guys have mentioned, a lot of these guys have gotten that have strengthened. And also, I mean, we're on a dip. I feel like this team is on a decline.
No, for sure. For sure.
Nice. Lee, anything you want to add to that?
No, I just think we're going to finish 9th.
Okay.
I think it's a solid finish. I think that's
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, kind of what we said at the beginning of the season, but yeah, I mean, our schedule is ridiculous. Like just a couple of those names, like Philly, Columbus. I mean, it's
New York again.
New York, yeah, twice, right? We got New York twice. It's not going to be easy, So, I mean, one more injury for sure. That's definitely going to kill it.
Yeah, I think, and we didn't even talk about that too, man. I mean, it was very evident that Corujo plays a very important part in this team. It just feels, I don't know how, but it just feels like the whole team got depleted this last month. Obviously we lost a lot of players, with transfers, right? And the players that we have, we really can't count on them now. So it just feels short, And you know what? In my opinion, if we get a win against New York City FC, we're still in it because we'd have a chance to, maybe have Nuno come in. But Nuno has to do an instant impact in this team, right? That's also a very tough ask for a player who's never played in this league as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to come in and show us why you were brought in from the get-go.
No.
Right.
Jorge, let me just ask you real quick, man. My Ecuadorian Alan Franco, what happened with him, man? I was a big fan of him too. I feel like on these upcoming games, I feel like he would have been a player that would have been cool to have on the lineup.
Same here, man. Especially a gritty game like LAFC as well, man. I think so. Alan Franco, yeah, I agree with you. Charlotte, the fan base was kind of 50-50 on Alan Franco. Some people didn't like him. Some people liked him. I thought I liked him.
Yeah,
I was on that camp where, we need somebody like this, that can help both offensively, defensively. He's one of the guys that's kind of like a brawler on the team as well. Like, he doesn't take crap, brings a lot of physicality, right? But at the end of the day, he was a Miguel guy. And what mostly happened was, after Miguel left, he decided to dip as well. And I don't think the club saw him as a long-term midfielder, and that kind of swayed his decision. And then against Montreal, he decided not to travel with the team to kind of push that move away, and he ended up leaving the team. So unfortunately, I think that was a big loss for us, especially now. And I think Sergio Ruiz was also a big loss for Charlotte FC. Tito Ruiz, in my opinion, he wasn't consistent enough for me to say, this is a guy I would want to bet long-term on. Sergio and Alan Franco, in my opinion, yeah, or at least till the end of the season.
Yeah, for sure. But as a fan, I mean, if you were a fan of Franco, especially early on, you kind of had to hide in the closet if you were a fan of Franco, because you would have to be recommending him taking Bender's spot, and all the fans would just light you up.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's how it went.
Yeah.
Hey, Jorge, question for you, man. We come on here talking about the LA game and how we got drubbed the second half, but my man's got an LA hat on. What's up with that?
Who?
You.
Oh.
You go find any other hat today but an LA hat.
I didn't even think about that.
Listen, bro. This last 50 minutes, man, has been driving me crazy. Like that LA hat.
The audacity, man. The audacity.
Okay, right? Let's come in and rub it in like, oh, I'm Charlotte. No, he's LA now all of a sudden, man.
Listen, there's a famous saying: if you can't beat them, join them. Right?
And that's
We
why
definitely ain't beating them.
supports.
What?
I said, and that's why you have 12 teams that you support.
Nice.
Anyway, back to Charlotte.
Back to Charlotte. Ronnie, man, talk to us. I'm curious in terms of your perspective, just on what the Charlotte FC fan base has brought to MLS, I know we're averaging one of the highest attendances in MLS. I feel like we've brought in a new flavor as well. The South really grown in terms of soccer. I kind of want to see from your perspective as a Northerner.
Yeah, man, I'll definitely give you guys a lot of credit. I think you guys are kind of along with what Atlanta did. I think you guys are paving the way for some possible more expansion clubs coming up along. I know you mentioned when we started the episode, yeah, I was fortunate enough to be at the season opener, home opener against LA Galaxy. And yeah, man, the culture that you guys have created, just the energy that you guys bring to the stadiums and breaking the MLS attendance record, still having a pretty good attendance record, 35K plus every game. That says something, man. I think that's something to look at and kind of makes a blueprint for any upcoming expansion team that, anything under that isn't going to cut it. So I
You
think
hear that, St. Louis?
yeah, St. Louis, we're talking to you. But yeah, I mean, nah, man, Charlotte, I'm thankful I got to go, man. A great city. I would have never gone there if I didn't know about Charlotte FC. But yeah, man, I think it's been great for the MLS. And I mean, like I said in the beginning, we're trying to grow this game. Jorge, I know we're on the same boat along with you guys, Brian and Lee. So yeah, man, I think it's all up from here, man. I think for our teams, especially for New York and for Red Bulls and for Charlotte, we're just trying to, grow it any way we can. So I think you guys are killing it. And yeah, man, I think it's all good from here.
And then finally, man, talk to us about what it's like, that for your team to actually be an MLS Cup champion, bro.
It's been unreal, man. It almost hasn't really sunk in until like a couple months ago, even though it happened last November. But yeah, man, I don't think a lot of people had NYCFC on the radar. Not even myself, and, for me, we've always made the playoffs. Yes, I think we've made the playoffs almost every season. I expected us to probably, get to the Eastern Conference, but once we beat New England, that Bruce Arena team that won the Supporter Shield, and then once we beat Philly, which I know there's a little asterisk next to that game because I believe some of the players caught COVID and some of their key players weren't available. But it was still a tough game, man. I'm not sure if anybody really got to see that game, but
Yeah,
the youth squad made us work for that game. It wasn't handed to us easy. And then, going to Portland, man, just going to play any team in the West, just being away from home, that was a tough game, man. And they tied it up and we had to go to penalties. And, when it comes to penalties, it's a 50-50 game. It could go either way. So the fact that we kind of had this crazy run last season, I think, it kind of shows that we could do it again. I don't know if it'll be this season. I know we've been kind of up and down a little bit, but still fighting in third place. But I think it's just been unreal, man. I think, for anybody that doesn't have NYCFC on their roster, I mean, on their radar, I think definitely keep an eye on NYCFC. I was going to get ready to talk about just like some players to watch for tomorrow's game. Thales Magno, who's a 20-year-old who came from Brazil, the Vasco da Gama Academy. He's a key player to watch for us, man. We've been mentioning next man up, and he's been a huge playmaker and somebody we're relying on for those goals. And Thiago Andrade, a 21-year-old, keep an eye on him as well, and Gabriel Pereira as well, who's 21 years old. I mean, these guys are young, man, 20, 21 years old, but they got speed, they have good soccer IQ, man, and they can make plays. So. I think overall we have our main core of players from last season. So that main core is still together, and we could still make a run.
100%. Love that, man. Good to hear too. You answered my last question, which was who to watch out from our side, man. I don't even know anymore. I'm like, everybody's so inconsistent.
Yeah. Like, just pick one, right? You know? Okay.
Yazbiak. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Jan.
Nice. Go ahead, Lee.
I was just agreeing with Brian. Jan's somebody to watch.
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
Right?
Oh man, yeah, nice, awesome. And then we'll end this show with our favorite thing, man, score predictions. And I want to hear from everybody. What do you guys think the score will end? We'll start off with Ronnie because it'll be positive from his point of view, you know.
Sheesh, man. I'm going with either something light, man. I think it's going to be a grind, man. Like I said, it could either be a 1-0. I'm rooting for us, man. So maybe 1-0 NYC or 2-1, but I'm going to go with 1-0.
I like this Yeti Clan. Y'all are goats, bro. You guys, I love the
people, man. They're good people. It's just hard with Chelsea shit.
100%. Lee, give us your score prediction for tomorrow.
Charlotte loses 2-0.
Dang, bro. Why are you so negative? Remember when you used to tell me that when I was realistic?
I mean, you brought it up.
Now you switched it up on us now. Oh, you can't bet against your team. Yada, yada. What happened? What happened?
I was ready. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you what happened.
You gave me about the team that you never root against your team, and this man just came out and blatantly said 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, I was coming out here being positive tonight. I was going to pick Charlotte to win, and then we go live, and I look over at you, Jorge, and you got an LA hat on. I believe, is that your DC United shirt you've got on as well, man? It's like there's all kinds of shit going on at Top in 99 days, man. So I was like, let's jump on the bandwagon, man. You can't beat them, join them, man. So I'm going to pick all different teams, man. So, yeah, go New York.
Good point. I'll give that to you. Touche.
I just don't know who's going to score for us. That's my thing.
Own goal, bro. That's the only guy we can count on right now.
I know. Have we signed him yet?
Not yet. Brian.
I think it's gonna be, far closer than it was in LA. I think New York is definitely struggling a little bit more than in their form, especially of late. I mean, granted, the last 3 games have been on the road, and I'm sure they're dying for a home game right now, and especially a game against a team that's struggling as much as Charlotte is right now. But I think it's still, they've kind of let teams in it when they could have finished teams off, and I think we could get left in it still a little bit there. So I think we still fall, but like 2-1. I'm thinking 2-1. We just aren't able to get over the edge and get that tie the way some teams have in the last month or so against New York. But I think we still
scoring for us, Brian.
I think Carroll gets his first road goal.
Nice. Awesome.
Hey, man, I'm a defender though, so I'm not scoring.
I think we're I don't see us winning this game tomorrow. I think
what? Come on, Jorge. This is bullshit, man. You never pull you always pull for your team, man. This is messed up, bro. Not having it. It's that damn LA hat. I'm telling you, it ruined the whole vibe tonight.
Actually, you know what I just realized? LA is playing DC United in like an hour and a half, and he's got LA and DC.
I'm just saying, man.
he's getting ready for the real game. You know what I'm saying?
This guy, man, it's the subliminal messages he sends out there, man. It's Jack.
It is, man. Y'all are finally starting to catch on.
I'm unfollowing. I'm done.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I think it'll be a tougher game than it was against LA, but I still see us losing 3-1. I mean,
you think an easier game?
I'm saying like we'll be more like it won't be as easy
for New York.
Yeah, as it was for LA. I think we'll lose 3-1 at the end, and I think Shinyashiki scores to add on to the drama of why he's not starting.
Right. You know it's going to happen. And like somebody said, Marks comes on and scores as well, man. You know, it's like everybody goes crazy. Everybody gets a goal.
Nice. Awesome. And with that, we end another episode of, I was about to say the Top Mid 90s, the MLS Corner.
Brought to you by Top Mid 90.
Yeah. Lee, where can we find you at?
On all the socials, CLTFC Fan TV. We are going to do a watch along tomorrow. We're going to kick off about 7:30. It's a little earlier than the actual kickoff the MLS does, but we'll touch on the LAFC game as well. And then we're just YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Insta, TikTok. We shut down the OnlyFans. We weren't making any money. We ended up having to pay way more for equipment than what we were expecting. It was just a bad business deal altogether, so we shut that down.
Okay, good to know. Are you on Be Real as well or no?
Not yet. I'm working on that.
All right, perfect. Brian, my man, where can we find you? Honestly, I got to give you and Tyler a shout out because that Nuno Santos article was straight fire, my guy. And I know you guys put in a lot of effort into that article, and it really showed how good that was, you know. And so, I mean, I had people reaching out to me from Nuno Santos camp telling me how good that article was. So, you, man, really appreciate everything y'all do.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I was gonna shamelessly plug it, but you stole my shameless plug.
He's speechless. He's speechless now.
Yes. Well, so you can find me on Twitter at BA Maurer Media, and you can find all my articles and written work at top1090.com. Yeah, like Jorge said, we just dropped a new piece on sort of like a bit of a film and scout report on Nuno Santos, our new signing, and kind of what he can bring to Charlotte FC, both the rest of this season, and I think more importantly, what he'll bring next season as well. I think so. Check that out. And I moved up. Another shout out to all those subscribers who are in the fantasy league. I'm moving up to 6. I'm catching y'all.
Dang, you're in 6th place?
Yes, sir.
Look at you, week 2, man. Way to go.
Yeah. I just put our single players in, dude. I knew it. I knew the formula.
That's it.
Nice. And then Ronnie, my man, thank you so much for being the special guest on tonight. You know, I love what you guys do. You and all the boys from Soccer Sub Podcast, man. Where can we find you at?
Guys.
Yeah, man, definitely appreciate you guys having me on. You guys can find us at Soccer Subs Podcast on Instagram and Soccer Subs Radio on Twitter. Shout out to my guys Christian, Voss, Eric, and Hugh. We record every week, so check us out, and we hope to be back in Charlotte soon, man.
Come on, man. We got a truck and we'll ride around.
For real.
I remember that.
Yeah. No, next year I plan on going to the away NYCFC game. So no matter where it's at, New Jersey, New York, Virginia, wherever NYCFC.
Might even be at Maryland. I mean, next thing you know, they're going to be down in Atlanta, man. It's like, they just want to be a team.
You got a place to crash, Jorge, man. Yeah, definitely, man.
Perfect. Nice. Awesome, man. And with that, we end another episode of the MLS Corner, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. Have a good night. Good.